Everyone, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are listening to this. Today, I wanted to share a story about something that's been going on in my life over the past year. And I've been holding off talking about this. Perhaps a little bit of fear, perhaps I wasn't quite sure how the situation was going to play out. But ultimately, I want to share something that when you make a plan and things don't go to plan, the best way that you can deal with the situation. And I have been studying Kabbalah over the last few months. And as much as I specialize in talking about money, sometimes things that go wrong in our lives can be resolved, or we can find different tools and techniques through different modalities. And just to share perhaps what's been going on, excuse the shaking. Um, Last year, I decided to make a commitment to myself and my business, and I hired a business consultant. Now, this business consultant didn't specialize in coaching, they were specializing in how to set up a different type of business. Let's just say that. And I want to just protect their identity. So I'm not going to be too specific about what it was. But essentially, last year, I went on a retreat and I met someone who seemed lovely. We got on great. And I really thought that they could help me. And so I signed up to their program, which was £3,000. So it was £1,000 a month, which was quite a significant investment for me where I'm at. And unfortunately, the program wasn't the right program for me. My expectations about what the program was going to involve and what the result or the outcome was going to be of that consultancy program didn't quite materialize. And it was a very, very stressful situation because I felt very alone. And I know that I'm not alone in this because a lot of people make investments in themselves and get burnt and then lose trust in themselves about making decisions going forward for the next phase of expansion in your life, especially if you're someone who really cares about personal development or self growth. So I essentially signed up to this program. It wasn't quite what I expected. And as much as I got on really well with this person, sometimes it's really challenging when you blur the lines of friendship and you blur the lines of consultancy or coaching. And I guess it's difficult when you are a coach or a consultant to show up authentically and really serve someone when you kind of know what's going on in their lives from a personal point of view. So I wasn't particularly like best friends with this person, but we were certainly more than just a business relationship. This person was really supportive of me, but not necessarily in the way that I needed or had expected from the program. And this person, when I approached them about my concerns, rather than understanding where I was coming from, and rather than accepting that what they had promised wasn't delivered, they essentially kicked me out of the community without even talking to me, without even having a conversation with me. So I asked to have a conversation. And this person basically told me that I was threatening them and yeah, basically proceeded to block me. So imagine you've invested £3,000 of your hard-earned money, and the person who's supposed to be delivering you the service for what you've paid for has basically essentially just ghosted you and done a runner. And that's really painful. That's a really painful thing to go through because who can you talk to about that, right? Unless you've got someone who really understands what it's like to be an entrepreneur, it feels like money has been stolen from you. Now, I'm just using this scenario as an example for you, but I'm sure you can think in your own life of situations where you've spent money or had money stolen or taken from you. And afterwards, it's left this feeling of guilt. It's left this feeling of self-doubt. How can I trust myself to make decisions now? How can I make sure and know for sure that where I'm putting my money is aligned with what I want to achieve. And so that brings up all sorts of questions. It brings up all sorts of self-doubt. When we make decisions and they don't quite transpire how we expect them to be. And look, I tried to get my money back. Unfortunately, I was unable to do that. But I still have a feeling, just energetically in my gut, that this person is still attracted to me. Some of my videos that I uploaded recently had some dislikes. And I also feel that some of my posts on Instagram have been reported as of late. Which is very bizarre because there's nothing in those posts that could be deemed as breaching any kinds of Instagram laws. So I can energetically feel this person is still attached. And within myself, I've realized that you can't expect other people to act how you would. And as someone who acts with integrity and tries as best I can to be respectful of other people, I didn't feel like I got that back. And I know that integrity is something that's very important to me, being an accumulator. And if you're new around here, you'll hear me talk a lot about the sacred money archetypes. And that is essentially a label. It's essentially a way of labeling our money personality. And you might have seen many money personalities online, but this is completely on a different level. This is like soul level, really helps you understand your values, what your special gifts are, what your shadow side is. And so, as someone who's an accumulator, my shadow side is sometimes I pay too much attention to details. I can get bogged down in the details. But as a positive, I'm someone who is very proactive, someone who strives for financial independence, as I've said in previous videos. So this person was clearly not the same archetype as me. In fact, I actually think that they are an alchemist. So they kind of have a love-hate relationship with money. And that transpired in my relationship with them in and of itself. So the way that we do money can show up in there's the way that we do everything, right? So it can show up in different ways of our lives. So if you're someone maybe that hoards money, you might find that you hoard other things in your life. So you might end up hoarding clothes, or you might end up hoarding food or certain things, right? So it can show up in many different ways in our lives. So for me, I felt like this person had really done me dirty, and I kind of feel like their energy is still around. And in order to move on from this situation, I guess the message that I want to get across is if you've had a situation like this, how you can navigate through it. Maybe not exactly like this, but let's say you've been stung in some way, or you've lost money, you've put an investment somewhere, you've taken a risk in yourself, you've backed yourself, but it hasn't come out at the end in the way that you expected. So one of the things that I've learned from Kabbalah is the ability that humans have to pause and to reflect and think and act from a place of intention rather than from a place of reaction. And that's super, super important because when we're being reactive, we're just being reactive to what's going on around us, and we're allowing things to happen to us rather than consciously making the decision that we're going to move forward in alignment. And in order to be able to do that, we need to know what we want to get out of the situation. So we need to know the end result. So for me, I wanted to just clear this, forget about the money that was stole from me, and I wanted to focus on the money that's coming into me from different areas. And when we do get burned, it's human nature to go into that victim mentality. It's human nature. Why have they done this to me? Why is this happening to me? And so we want to flip the script. We want to change our perspective on the situation. Now, there are several ways that we can do this. The first is obviously to pause, take a breather, allow ourselves to process what's been going on. And a really fantastic question that I heard through these Kabbalah classes was to question, why is this in my movie? Everyone has a movie or our lives are a movie, right? If we think of our lives as a movie and we each have a storyline, we have the ability to change the outcome of that story. But everything in our life that happens to us is for a reason. As much as sometimes we don't like to hear that or things feel uncomfortable, things need to feel uncomfortable in order to learn from them. If we're constantly in our comfort zone and we're constantly feeling like things feel comfortable, then we're not growing, right? That is a fixed mindset. Things as they are how they will always be. That is a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is when we learn from situations, and by doing that, we're able to up level and see things through a new lens so we can feel empowered and do more things in our life and ultimately have friture, have financially free lives filled with more freedom, more happiness, more joy, more confidence, more clarity because things feel aligned, right? And I know even if I was still working with that person, it would feel really misaligned. So it's important to think about, why is this in my movie? Why is this happening to me? And I think that question is really interesting because when we come from this place of curiosity, of like, why is this happening to, not why is this happening to me? Why is this in this movie? What we're essentially asking is, what can I learn from this experience? Right? What can I learn from this experience? And by doing it through that lens, we learn more about ourselves and we learn more about the way that we respond to situations. Often things will keep coming up and showing themselves in a similar way, but in different circumstances. So perhaps there might have been situations where I've spent things in the past that didn't feel quite aligned, or having trust in certain people, right? So, why is this in my movie? And the spiritual rule is, my life is a perfect plan designed to help me with my soul correction. So, in other words, everything in life is designed. Life is by design. Everything is meant to happen as it should. So, if you're questioning right now, why is this happening to me? What change the question to, why is this in my movie? And then think that life is by design. Life is by design. You're supposed to learn these lessons in order to become better within yourself. And I'm not quite sure where I was going with this, but I guess my point is that don't focus on what you've lost. Focus on what's coming in, because karmic energy is that if something is owed to you, the universe will bring it back to you. And I heard a story that, really interestingly, that one of my friends, they had builders come in and work on their property. And they'd spent a couple of £1,000s on these builders, and the builders did a runner. The builders did a runner and they took the money and they didn't do the job. So, as much as I said my story, I think that there are different ways that money can be taken from us. But essentially, these people did a runner, and unfortunately, they weren't able to get the money back at that point. But years and years later, my friend got a phone call from someone who said, "We've just come across some accounts and we've realized we owe you £2,500." Or whatever it was. It was to the value of what was taken from them years prior. So the universe always has a way of delivering back to us what is owed to us. And when we come from this belief and we come from this place that everything is meant to be as it should, right, then we will attract back in what we have once lost, okay? But we need to get out of the victim mentality. We need to get out of the persecutor mode of telling ourselves that we've done something wrong, right? Because then we're a victim to our circumstance. So it's about shifting our perspective and feeling empowered. And the way that we empower ourselves is recognizing that life is by design, everything is as it should be. Everything is as it should be. And we have agency, we have control over our own lives to make decisions. And that is a beautiful thing. If you're feeling stuck in any area of your life now, it could be because of overwhelm, it could be decision fatigue. And often because we live in this society now where there's so much information everywhere, this feeling of just overwhelm is really everywhere. Okay. And that can often lead to procrastination. It can often lead to inaction. And especially with our finances, it's really important that we take early action because life is short. Life is short. And if we don't take action today, then we are at the whim of all those external things that are out of our control, and they will simply decide for us. And that is also life by design. That is also how it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to teach us to be proactive in whatever way, shows up for us, right? We all have different things to learn about different situations. If the same situation was to happen to two different people, the lessons learned from both of those people is going to be very different because they've come from a very different place, right? So this was just a message to say, anyone listening to this, and if you are listening to this, perhaps you have had money stolen from you, perhaps you have had money taken from you, perhaps you have people in your lives that you feel like are bringing you down right now. And I want you to give yourself permission to give yourself permission to take the authentic, aligned action that feels right for you. If it feels right to you, then it's not the wrong action. Often we penalize ourselves and we stay on our own head and we think, I can't do that. I can't make a complaint because then I'm a complainer. But sometimes that's what you need to do to get out of your comfort zone, to make a case, to stand up for yourself. And so sometimes there's different things that we need to learn from different situations. So I want you to just take away from this that life is by design. And no matter what you're going through right now, whatever struggle you're going through, you have choice, you have agency to take life into your own hands and to change the course of your life. If you want financial freedom, then you have to take action. It's as simple as that. If you're staying stuck in the same place, you're not growing. And that can feel very, very uncomfortable. Sometimes staying in the comfort can feel uncomfortable, but inaction is even more painful. Right? Inaction, if you know that something needs doing, just putting it off and putting it off is not going to help the situation. And slightly off topic, but I don't know if I should share this in this video, but it's come to my mind. So the other day, my client said to me, so in terms of financial coaching, actually, maybe I'll just do a whole video on financial coaching. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'll share this anecdote in another video all about financial coaching and what that looks like in terms of a transformation and a process. But I hope you found this video interesting or helpful. If you're struggling with anything right now, just think about this question: why is this in my movie? And be grateful that you can take a step back, that you can step out of your own movie, that you can see the full picture of where everything is, because that truly is a gift and something that we should be all grateful for. Because if we weren't able to do that, we would just be like all other animals in the animal kingdom. So, bit of philosophical talk for you guys today, but yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.